and he pulls in right next to me, side of me, and the truck actually jerked to a stop. And when he stopped, and he leaned across the passenger seat, what I thought was a stainless steel 45 turned out to be a Smith & Wesson 96.6. It's 9mm. But he's across the passenger seat and he yells, "I'll cap you." Unconsciously, I couldn't control what I did. I couldn't go to the left because the door was right here. I couldn't go to the right because we're still in the line of fire. I couldn't go back because of the seat. The only place I could go was forward. So I went forward like this here and actually hit my chest on the steering wheel. I hit the steering wheel. I came up. As soon as I came up with my gun, as soon as I cleared the door, I turned it and I fired.
I'm Steve Murphy, DEA Special Agent retired and now host of the Game of Crimes podcast. If you've seen the Netflix series Narcos, then you know my story. I now bring you stories of heroism and bravery from our law enforcement and military heroes, and occasionally from the criminals that they faced. Welcome to Game of Crimes. Imagine you're sitting in your car in traffic and a man pulls up next to you with a gun. What are you going to do? You try to get away from him, but then later you find out he's a cop. This story is one that I've never heard before or anything like it. It's an honor to have our guest here today. But here's the thing. What most people get wrong about this whole story is almost everything. It's unbelievable. So it's an honor for me to invite and welcome Frank Lyga, retired LAPD officer, 35 years experience. I believe 25 of those years as an undercover narcotics agent. That's even more than Murphy here. I did 38 years, but not that much time as a narc. But Frank, welcome to the show, brother.
Glad to be here, sir.
It's an honor to have you here. It really is. And I gotta say, this is a story that almost sounds unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. It is unbelievable.
Lived it.
Yeah.
So before we get into the meat and bones of that story, though, can you tell us just a little bit about your background, where you grew up, your family dynamics, that kind of thing?
I grew up on a dairy farm in upstate New York. Everybody thinks New York is New York City, but I lived in the mountains and in the forest, milked cows every day, twice a day for 29 years.
Yeah.
Went to school, graduated, wanted to be a policeman since I was 5 years old. I wanted to be a New York State Trooper. And I couldn't make it. We had 79, we had consent decree going on, and I didn't fit the profile, and I didn't make it. I went to a local sheriff's department as a deputy. I did that. Then I transferred over to the local police department. And in 1986, in 1983, I applied to LAPD. Came out here, took the test, and it was comical because in February of 1983, there was a storm that wiped out the Santa Monica Pier. They said it never rains in California. I was in a hotel just at the base of the pier. I woke up in the morning and the pier was on the beach.
Wow.
I went to the car parking lot and my rental car, there's water up to the running boards.
Wow.
And it was like that the whole week. Took the test, took the physical, did all the work. Everything was good. We had a hiring freeze. LAPD had a hiring freeze for 2 years. I got called back. I went back, redid all the testing. At that time, a male white, not that I'm injecting race in this, but a male white had to have 100% or better to get on the job. And I was fortunate. I passed everything and I got called and I got on a job.
Well, before you go any further, let me ask you, you wanted to be a cop since you were 5 years old. Where did that interest in law enforcement come from? Was somebody in your family a cop?
No, I'm a Lone Ranger. I'm the only cop there is. One of my best friend's fathers was a New York State Trooper, sergeant in the state police, and he was a giant. He wasn't a giant. He was about 6'5", 240.
This is a big
Lifted
man.
weights together. Great guy. My mentor. I looked up to him a lot, and I wanted to be a state trooper. And I don't know why I wanted to be a cop, but that's all I ever wanted to be.
And I've had the same problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but it's kind of funny to say it that way now.
Yeah.
What was it that interested you about law enforcement? Why did you want to be a cop? What did you want to do?
No idea. I wanted to be I actually wanted to always be a narc. If you remember the TV show Beretta?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
A lot of our listeners won't remember that.
No, they won't remember that. Robert Blake played Beretta, and comically, years later, when he was in his jury trial for murder, I met him in the elevator at Van Nuys Court, and I was amazed because he's only like 5 foot tall. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to be just like Beretta. I didn't think I'd have a pet bird, but I figured I'd be an undercover narc. I'd live in a little apartment by myself, and no family, no worries, just put crooks in jail.
Uh-huh.
And I did that. That was my dream, and I'm lucky I did that.
Yeah. Oh, we're blessed. When you were going through LAPD Police Academy, you got any funny stories from those days?
Well, they called me lungs
Why's that?
because I couldn't breathe. I'll never forget it. The first day of the academy. I drive up. They wouldn't let us. We were the first class on a 2-year hiring freeze, so they wouldn't let us park in the parking lot. We had to park on the street and walk up behind the academy by the trash cans and go in the back door of the locker room and change our clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm walking up this back of the LAPD Police Academy, and I turn around and look at Dodger Stadium, and it looked like an ice cream cone with brown frosting in the middle of it. I said to one of the guys, I said, "What the heck is that?" "That's smog," he says. I said, "I grew up in the Adirondack Mountains, crystal clear. You could see for miles. And I'm looking across the Dodger Stadium, and it's full of dirt." So I had a hard time breathing and running. I ran, never gave up, never quit. They called me lungs. One time they wanted me to get in a car. I wouldn't stop, kept on going. I'm not a quitter. And it worked out. They kind of broke my balls a little bit. I ended up graduating 16th out of my class, which
Of how many?
we started with 70 something. We graduated 52, but I graduated 16th, and I'm kind of disappointed in that because at the time, LAPD was writing first person. I did this, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
New York, we wrote third person.
Right.
So in the report test, I'd start out at first person, and halfway through, I'd be back at third person.
Yeah.
So I got marked off for that, and that put me down.
You know, that it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it was because when I joined the feds, you had to write in third person.
I love third person. It's easier to comprehend. It's easier to people understand.
It is.
They don't have to keep looking back at the face sheet to see who's who in the zoo.
Mm-hmm. When you joined LAPD, what was the culture back at that time?
What do you mean culture?
What was the camaraderie amongst law enforcement? Everybody was there to serve the public, or was everybody there to advance themselves?
We didn't really talk about that. I came to LAPD. I lived in Venice. I lived in West LA, rather. And on the weekends, I'd go to the beach and study on the beach, and I kept to myself. We didn't really talk. My whole function was to graduate the academy and get them back on the field. That's all I wanted to do, and I didn't care about anything else. So we didn't really talk about what was going on, and we talked about where we were going to go work, where we wanted to work, and we just finished up and got transferred, and away we went. I was fortunate again, like I said, I've been very lucky in my career, or unlucky. Why I'm sitting here is because I was unlucky. But I did 10 months out of a 12-month probation. In LAPD, you graduate the academy, you do 6-month academy, and then a year of probation with a training officer. I did 10 months. I graduated the academy in December, and around late August, I was in Van Nuys. I did my probation in Van Nuys. I was in Van Nuys jail, and I'm standing there looking at the RD map, trying to learn the area. And a guy approaches me and starts talking to me. And I didn't think much of it. No big deal. He leaves. A couple days later, I'm there again. He shows up again. He's saying, "Can I talk to you?" "Yeah." We go outside on a parking lot, and he turns out he's a D2, which is a detective supervisor working in the anti-terrorist division. And they had an opening, and they were looking at me. They looked at my package, my academy. They looked at my rating reports and probation, the fact that they said that I was capable of working with minimal supervision, working on my own. And they asked if I'd be interested. I said, "Sure, why not?" So I'll be in touch. All right. Don't tell anybody. So I didn't tell anybody. Get a phone call, meet me at a restaurant, Santa Monica. Okay. I go down there. "Were you followed here?" I said, "I don't think so." I said, "Why would somebody follow me? I didn't even look." "Well, make sure you get checked next time. Make sure you're not being followed. Can you know how to do that?" I said, "Yeah." counter surveillance. I know that. I can do it. We met, we talked. Then it went on for a couple of months. And they called me up and said, the captain wants to meet you. I said, all right. So I drive down to Parker Center. You can't tell anybody. I drive down to Parker Center. I pull in the back, park in the structure, walk up to, I forgot what floor it was on now. Go in. I had the guy that I was talking to and another guy. So I basically have two handlers. And we're sitting there, and the captain comes in, and he's talking to me. He's asking stupid questions. And he says, your watch, how you carry your watch? I wear my watch on an angle with a face on my wrist on the angle. He says, that's something police do? I says, no. I says, I do it because I cut corners short. My father owned a construction company, and I'm a mason by trade. I says, and I work with concrete, and I cut corners short, and I hit my wrist on the corners when I want to rip my watch up. Oh, okay.
Makes perfect sense.
Well, makes sense, yeah. He says, what kind of car you think you're going to drive if you get this? I said, I don't know. I says, Toyota, Honda, whatever. I don't know. So whatever junk car you give me, I don't care one way or the other, whatever you give me. Back at that time, it was the late 80s. Miami Vice was real popular on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently a lot of applicants or a lot of wannabe undercover cops. And I really didn't want to be. I was loving patrol. I did, big city patrol. I loved it. He said, he thought I was talking to him. I'm going to drive a Ferrari or something like that. I says, no, just whatever. So he asked a few more questions. All of a sudden, the guy gets up, walks by me. And as he walks by me, he slaps me on the shoulder, says, welcome aboard. I look at the two guys. What happened? He goes, I don't know. He says, we were looking at three other guys. He said, but I guess you're in. Congrats, he says.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got in, and basically we worked five days a week at the time, 2 days off. On my days off, I'd empty my locker out. Every weekend, I'd empty my locker out a little bit more. And finally, one day, I went to work and to watch, empty my locker out, closed the door, never went back. And they sent me back to New York. I went to New York for 6 weeks to lose my suntan and create a new identity. They gave me a name and a birthday, maybe 6 years younger than I am now, which was nice. I'd like to do that now.
Wouldn't we all?
But I went back to New York for 6 weeks and created a new identity, a believable background. Basically, you've got to have an identity where it's second nature. So if somebody's interviewing you, somebody's talking to you, they're crooks. It's got to be, where'd you go to school? Got to be able to tell them. Everybody knows where to school. Where'd you live? You got to tell them. My stories I was a single mom. We lived in an apartment building, 4th floor apartment building. Turns out back in 88, then that apartment building was there, but now it's a strip mall, little mall. So if you go back, follow my background, what was there? Was there a building there? Yeah, it was a low income apartment building. Who lived there? I don't know. What happened to it? Tore it down, built a mall.
It's a good backstop.
Right. And they can't, where'd you work? McDonald's. I work construction because I'm a mason. No, worked under the table most of the time.
Right.
Stuff they can't follow up on. What was unique, and I got a brand new birth certificate because of my working in New York at the time. I worked there 7 years. I had connections. I went to the station. We went to the clerk's office, gave the clerk the new name and the birthday. She pulled out a birth certificate, put it a new name and the birthday, got the little crimper, crimped the birth certificate, crimped it solid, and filed it. So I got an original fake birth certificate. It took me an hour to get.
Yeah.
When they say, you can't do that, nobody can do that. Well, I did it in an hour.
Yeah.
Came back here, had to go to the DMV to take a road test with my new person, get my driver's license. And that was it. I went undercover for a while.
And that was counterterrorism undercover.
Anti-terrorist, yeah.
And how long did that last?
I quit it for 2 months. I missed being a cop. I was undercover for 25 years as a narc, but it's different than being undercover. Being undercover and plain clothes is two different deals. I couldn't carry a gun. I had a gun, but I wasn't supposed to carry it. I got arrested, got put on a bench a couple of times. Two people in the whole city knew who I was.
Wow.
They were my handlers. If I needed money, say, here, my handler. I need extra money because my paycheck from LAPD was still going to an account, but I had no access to it. I had to work and live off of what I could make outside, like I never had a job. So if I needed extra money, I'd call you up and we'd meet someplace. You go and pull money out. We'd meet someplace, and I'd have to sign a new signature card and give it to you and get the receipt, and that's how it went.
Wow, that's almost like being an informant.
Yeah. But I decided I wanted to be a cop.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a cop where I can be undercover. I can go buy dope. I can wear chemicals. I can go inside, do it all I want. And then I can turn around and say, I'm a cop. Go ahead. Here's my badge and ID.
But when you left them after 2 months, where did you go to, and how long before you got into narcotics?
I went to West LA Division as on a patrol, and all I ever did was narcotics. Even patrol, that's all I ever did. I put crooks in jail. And as I told you earlier, my motto was crumbs to tons. And I got in trouble a lot, but I like to write tickets too.
Mm-hmm.
I led the division every deployment period in arrests and tickets. And about 2 months into that, I got recruited by the Special Problems Unit supervisor. We call it a SPU team. And they handle special problems for the division. And it was a plainclothes operation. We had 8 guys. We didn't have take-home cars. We had plane cars, undercover cars, plainclothes. And we went out and worked robberies, hot robberies, burglaries, car thefts, the FMBs, all major crime families. I did that for a year and a half. And then the captain called me in and said they wanted a car down in the gang area, which was a Crip area. Playboy Gangster Crips, Hoover Crips. I forgot. All Manson Street Crips. It was a Crip area. They wanted a guy down there to run a car from 6 at night to 2 in the morning, and they wanted me to run the car. So I told the captain, I said, I really appreciate it. I said, but I like where I'm at. I'd rather stay where I'm at. He looked at me, he said, if you didn't have a choice, who do you want as a partner? And I says, look, if you're going to send me, I'm going. I said, but I'm not going to pick some kid to make him come work 6 at night till 2 in the morning with me.
Right.
And guess what? I went to mid PMs and I had different partners. I did that. I did that for about a year. And I got loaned to West Bureau Narcotics. And there's a story in itself. It's a wild story. Because all I did was drug arrest.
Mm-hmm.
I was in court 4 days a week down at CCB. And I was friends with DAs, district attorneys, because I was their expert. They'd call me, I'd walk on the 3rd floor. Lyga's on the floor, go get him. And they'd send somebody to find me, and I'd stand as an expert witness or had my own cases. So a friend of mine pulled me aside. He says, I got something to tell you. I said, what's that? He says, the DA's office is going to sting a cop. We got a cop's planting evidence on crooks. I says, really? He goes, yeah, a narc. I says, who's the guy's name? And he gives me the name. And I'm not going to say it now. The guy's dead, unfortunately, but he was a good guy. I told him, I says, he's my partner. So I was scared to death because all I wanted to do was go back to dope full time.
Mm-hmm.
I was only on loan. This was a Friday. So I go home and sweat out the whole weekend. I'm scared to death. My partner's planting dope on crooks. I don't know what to do. So Monday morning I get up. I call the chief's office, Daryl Gates.
The top.
Right to the top. I call the office, talk to the secretary, nice lady named Mary. I says, Mary, this is Officer Lyga. I need to talk to the chief. What's it about? I can't tell you. Well, the chief doesn't just take off police officers in. They meet with them. You got to go. I'm telling you, I'm really sorry. It's really important, but I can't tell you. I need to talk to the chief. So she says to me, hold on. So a few minutes later, she comes back. She says, can you be here by 10 o'clock? Absolutely. So I go out and jump on my motorcycle. I had a Harley. I jump on my bike and fly down to Parker Center. Go up. I'm scared to death. Somebody's going to see me. I get off the elevator on the 6th floor, chief's office, and the crash lieutenant is there. To back up just a hair, back in 1988, there was a murder in Westwood by UCLA campus where a rolling 60 Crip killed an Asian woman in a shootout between two gangsters. He did the old swing around instead of shooting the gangster across the street, hit this girl in the head.
Yeah.
I caught that guy that night. I caught him. There's a story in that too, but I caught that guy that night. So the crash lieutenant, Ruben Ornelas, his name was, got sent to the FBI Academy because of that. He got a promotion because they closed the case within a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I get off the elevator on the 6th floor, and there's Lieutenant Ornelas. Frank, what are you doing here? I'm on the wrong floor. I must have got off the wrong floor. I said, I'm going to the property.
Didn't have your backstory.
Yeah, well, I was scared to death. All right. So I rode down on the elevator with him, got off at the property. And when he left, I got back in the elevator, went up to the 6th floor. So I walk in the chief's office, and Mary says, go sit down. She said, Chief's not in, go sit down. So I go in his office, I sit down, I'm scared to death. Chief Gates comes in. What's going on? So I lay the story out to him. He looks at me and goes, why didn't you go through your chain of command? And I looked at him and I says, well, sir, I says, I've only been in a squad 2 weeks. I don't know how high up this goes. The only person I guarantee is not involved is you. And he looks at me and he turns around and he goes, he leaves. He comes back about 10 minutes later. I was there about 10 minutes. He comes back 10 minutes later and hands me a card for the commander of Narcotics. He says, this is Commander Kramer's phone number, home phone number and cell phone. Go through him. Don't contact me again. Go back to work. Keep your your eyes open, your eyes and ears open, your mouth shut. Yes, sir. I walk out the room. As I'm walking out, he looks at me and goes, I guarantee you won't be hurting this. I go, okay. I go back to work. About 2 weeks later, Mary calls. Chief wants to talk to you. I'm going, oh boy, I'm scared to death. Yes, sir. Case is over. He says, thank you for what you did. He goes, we stung you people twice, your team twice. Basically send undercovers out to plant evidence and see what we did. He says, and there's no issues. He says it was some arrest. He shoot his mouth off to the DA, the PD, and they told the DA, and it was no big deal. But by me going forward to Gates, giving him the opportunity to cut it off, there was no scandal. He called the DA's office and said, this is nothing. I stung the guys twice and they didn't do anything wrong. Back off. So he was happy with that.
Oh, very
and I
good.
kept my mouth shut until the last guy just died in December.
Yep. So now you're, I mean, that's a hell of a story to get you into law enforcement, but now you're in the narcotics squad.
Right.
Let's fast forward to 1997, March of 1997. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I went from that unit to Hollywood Patrol for a while, and then I went to Hollywood Detectives as a narcotic officer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Hollywood. It was a Tuesday morning, March 18th, 1997. I had to qualify with a Benelli shotgun. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm up at the range, and I qualify. One of my team members had a case going where he had a UC or an informant that was going to meet a crook to buy some meth, and the plan was we were to follow the crook back to his lab somewhere in the valley. So I'm out in Saugus, at the range till noon. I come back, they're already briefed, they're set up. They put me on point, and it's hot out. It's March, but it's hot out. So I got a white tank top T-shirt on. I had long hair down to my middle of my back, pulled back in a ponytail. I'm wearing a black marijuana baseball cap. And I'm in a 91 Buick Regal, was my undercover, my plane car. And I'm sitting there watching nothing for 4 hours with the air off, windows up. I'm just looking out the window, watching the informant. Crook never showed up. So the case agent calls it, says we leave, we're leave. I had a case I wanted to do that night. So I said, I'm going back to the office to get ready to brief for our case. So while the team was debriefing, I left. And it was about a mile from where we were doing the surveillance, heading back to Hollywood from North Hollywood. And I was on Cahuenga and Lancashire, right by the Universal Studios.
Mm-hmm.
There was a red light. I was stopped at the number 2 lane. right across from a Subway sandwich shop. Subway sandwich shop was L-shaped. It came out to the sidewalk, and I'm stopping traffic. I got the air conditioning blasting. I'm sitting there minding my own business, waiting for the light to turn green. And this green, what I thought originally was a Jeep, but it was a Mitsubishi Montero, pulls up alongside of me. It's passenger windows down, a male black driving it with a green nylon jumpsuit, like a run track suit, unzipped. Front was unzipped so I could see his chest. Pulls up alongside of me. The passenger door was down. He's doing one of these deals, bouncing around, looking toward me. I'm thinking, who's this guy looking at? So I actually looked on the sidewalk. Who's he looking for? There's nobody there. So I looked back at him through my window, and which I should have never done is I rolled the window down and looked at him because I wasn't really afraid of anybody and didn't expect any problems. I rolled the window and I said, can I help you? Or, ain't nobody looking at you, pump. Roll that window up, I'll put a cap in your ass. And I went, excuse me? You were saying another gang signs come up, blood gang signs. I'm looking at him and go, he goes, I'll put a cap in your ass. I said, well, let's go. You want to do it right here? Let's go. Never in a dream I was never going to stop. Mm-hmm. I said, let's go. They call a thing called verbal judo. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I've been attacked because I should have kept my mouth shut and never confronted him or never said anything to him. And then by offering to fight him, how is that a de-escalation? Well, it was a de-escalation because when I offered to fight him, the light turned green. At the time, to back up a hair, at the time, the gang members were transitioning from 77 Monte Carlos. The old, I'm sure anybody older guy knows it. A 77 Monte Carlo had like flared out fenders, front fenders. The South End gang members were driving those, and they were transitioning from them to SUVs. Mm-hmm. And they had a habit, and it was a practice with the gang members of they basically confront somebody in traffic and then cut them off and bail out of the car and attack them in the car. And I said, that wasn't going to happen to me. So I said, let's go. You want to do it right here? So the light turns green. I pull forward. He pulls in behind me and pulls right to the curb, and the red zone stops. And I drove right away. They're trying to say that I kept on driving. I just drove right away from him, laughing at him. He's stuck in traffic now. It's a Tuesday afternoon in North Hollywood on Cahuenga, going from North Hollywood to Hollywood. Traffic is thick. He looked like he was going to rip the steering wheel off. He was shaking the steering wheel. And I'm laughing at him, watching the mirror. I get to the next intersection. It's called Regal Place. I'm actually 4 cars back in a number 2 lane. It's got a left turn pocket to get on the freeway, the 101 freeway right there. It's got a number 1 lane, a number 2 lane, and a parking lane. The parking lane was full. Every car was in it. I'm 4 cars back to the number 2 lane. As I'm watching him in the mirror, he finally breaks traffic. He breaks traffic and gets in. He actually goes in northbound lanes, weaving through traffic, going around, coming toward me. So now I know he's coming. I got a problem. Mm-hmm. I got on the radio to tell the people, hey, I got a problem. I got a black guy in a green Jeep. And I got attacked for saying a black guy in a green Jeep.
What were we supposed to say?
I have no idea. I should have said I have a motorist in a Jeep chasing me. But
hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happened was I'm watching him in the mirror. The left turn car blows the red light, gets on the freeway. The number 1 car in the number 1 lane blows the red light, gets on the freeway. And the 3 cars in front of next to me move forward, leaving a space right open next to me. Mm-hmm. And he's coming. So I got my seatbelt off, so I'm not going to be attacked in the car. And I pull my gun out, Beretta 92F, 9mm, and put it in my lap. And I'm watching in the mirror, and I'm talking on the radio. My radio is the microphone's an visor up at the windshield, and there's a foot mic down in the upper left-hand corner. So I'm pushing the radio, and I'm talking to my team. And they're within a half mile coming, right? But they're not with me. They're behind me. And when the space opened up next to me, he's coming. I remember saying to myself, shit. And he pulls in right next to me, side to me. And the truck actually jerked to a stop. And when he stopped, and he leaned across the passenger seat, what I thought was a stainless steel 45 turned out to be a Smith & Wesson 96-06. It's 9mm. Mm-hmm. But he leans across the passenger seat and yells, I'll cap you. I can't say I was afraid, because I wasn't afraid. but unconsciously, I couldn't control what I did. I couldn't go to the left because the door was right here. I couldn't go to the right because we're still in the line of fire. I couldn't go back because of the seat. The only place I could go was forward. So I went forward like this here and actually hit my chest on the steering wheel. The car moved forward about 4 feet, bridged the gap between my car and the car in front of me. And as soon as I recovered quickly, I hit the steering wheel, I came up. As soon as I came up with my gun, as soon as I cleared the door, I turned it and I fired. I saw a glass break. And that threw me off in my mind because I couldn't believe I missed. Back when I came on a job back in '79 in New York, we were point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically where your finger goes, like the old West guys, where your finger goes, that's where the gun goes. And I practiced that, and we did that. And then the sights. But I couldn't believe I missed. We were 9 feet apart, and I came up and I saw glass break. So I actually took my eye off of him and looked at the rear passenger window. I think I shot the rear passenger window out because I knew the passenger window was down, but that was intact. So I couldn't figure it out. So I come back and look at him, and he's like this. The gun is still pointing at me. So I pull back, adjust, and I fire a second round. And I could hear the round hit him. I didn't really tell people that they're the shooter because who's going to believe you? Right. But I heard the thud, and I could see it in his eyes. His eyes got really big. And his hand went from here with the gun pointing at me right to the steering wheel. No retraction, just boom, right to the steering wheel. They asked me where'd the gun go. I don't know. I didn't see the gun. I didn't. All I could do was he was pointing a gun at me. I shot him, could see it in his eyes, heard the thud, and his arm went from here, boom, right to the steering wheel. And he accelerated. And I'm like this. And when he accelerates, I'm on the radio. Hey, I just shot this guy. I need help. It's a green Jeep. I still thought it was a Jeep. License number, because I'm thinking I'm going on a ride. Mm-hmm. But I'm like this here, and I look, and I'm looking at him, and I look at my guns right in front of my nose. I go, oh, so I decock it and put it away, because I think I shot this guy. I'm not going to let him drive off. We're going.
Right.
He goes about 35. Well, by then, all the cars, the light turned green. The cars in front of us disappeared. I didn't see him go. I wasn't paying attention. But when he got hit, he accelerated, and there was no car in front of us. He drives about 35 feet into the intersection, does a U-turn, and comes back. So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to joust. So I pull my gun out again, and I'm sitting still where I haven't moved yet. I'm waiting, watching him come through. And I'm waiting. I want to shoot him again when he goes by. And his right arm was doing this. He was pumping his right arm, and he had this real weird grimace on his face. He got it parallel with me, got right alongside of me again, and he made a right-hand turn into the gas station. There's a Chevron gas station right there we're in front of. He goes into the gas station, and to me, it looked like somebody shut the key off on the car. Now, if you shut a key off on a motor, mm-hmm. you don't have to touch the brakes. The car will actually, will stop the car from momentum. It will actually stop it. And that's what it looked like, because no brake lights, no nothing. He looked like he shut the key off on the car and rolled through. So I cleared traffic, and I pulled in behind him. But I didn't pull in behind him. I offset to the right, and I got in trouble for that. Internal Affairs were all over me for that, because tactically that was wrong, not my training. Well, the reason I pulled in for the right is normally it's that his car was here. On a traffic stop, you offset to the left, mm-hmm. right? It protects the driver, protects you going up to the car.
Right.
I offset to the right because we're at a gas station. There's gas pumps right there. I anticipated a running gun battle. I figured he'd run out of the car like you see in the movies, and we'd be shooting each other going through the gas station. But he didn't move. So I got out, and as I was getting out of the car, I used to carry my badge in my watch pocket, the little coin pocket in your pants, on a chain. So as I was getting out of the car, I pulled the badge out and put it. And as I was putting it around my neck, a Hispanic fellow was coming out of the gas station. So I got the door open. I hold my badge up and yell. I says, "Call 911." And I put my badge around my head, and I get up and I approach the car, and the fellow stopped. And I get to the rear driver's side passenger door there, and I could see his hand. His right hand was on his right thigh, but it was empty. I could see that. I couldn't see his left hand, and I couldn't see the left side. His body was leaning left, but slumped right, if that makes sense. Basically, he was in the corner of the doorpost like this here, but his body was slumped to the right, and his right hand was on his right leg. So I'm standing there yelling at him, police officer, let me see your hands, police officer, let me see your hands. And I'm waiting for a team to show up. As I'm standing there, I see a black hood of a car come out from behind the corner of the gas station, like right diagonal from us. And it comes all the way up to the windshield, and it's a CHP cruiser with CHP officer in the front driver's seat. And I'm standing there like this here. He sees me and puts it in reverse and backs up out of sight again. So I'm standing going, okay, come on, guys. Got my eye on him. He's not moving, no sounds, no nothing, and I'm watching the chippies come through, CHP officers. So it's a couple seconds later, the car comes out again, but it doesn't come all the way to the windshield. Now there's two CHP officers, uniform officers, hiding behind the fender by the left front tire. And they say in the reports, they had their guns out and they're screaming at me to drop my gun, all this. They never had their guns out. Never had their guns out. So I'm standing there. So I take my badge and I go, hey, I'm a cop. I need help. Get up here. And they're still there. A few seconds later, I could hear horn blowing. And out of the peripheral vision on my right side, I see my supervisor, my boss's car pulled in. And again, our cars don't have lights and sirens. Right. We have a horn.
Right.
So he comes in. He's got his arm left out the window with his badge in it. And he's got a female officer who was pregnant right along. She was one of our team members, but she was pregnant, wasn't supposed to go in the field, but we let her go out that day because, she's one of our team members.
Right.
So she's in the passenger seat with her arm out with the badge in it, and he's got his arm with the badge in it, and I'm standing there like a dummy watching it too. One of the officers comes up, leaves the car, and kind of does a Barney Fife walk between my car and the Montero. And he gets up right to the back of the Montero on the right rear quarter, right by the bumper. And I'll never forget it. No gun out. I'll never forget it. But he's like this here. And he goes, are you a real cop? I says, yeah, I'm a real cop. This guy's hit bad. Take over. You're in uniform. So I go to the low ready. Now he pulls his gun out and he runs up. And I go to the low ready and back up. He runs to the driver's door, sticks his gun in the guy's ear. And the other CHP officer leaves the car, runs up to the passenger door and sticks his gun in the passenger window. And it looks like they're going to shoot each other. So I lower ready down. I back up even more. And I've got the low ready. And I back up even more into the gas pumps. And just about then, my team members showed up. My guys showed up. And they basically took control. The CHP officers moved to the side. My supervisor opened the door. And as the door opened, I could hear metal sliding. I could hear movement. And what it was his gun slid from his leg down to the floorboard.
Mm-hmm.
So I back up. I'm putting my gun away. I back up. Now I get in the car. The guys pull him out, handcuff him on the passenger side. There was no blood in the car. When he was slumped right, the bullet hole closed. No blood leaked out until they opened it. Until they stretched him out, laid him on a curb or on the street. Paramedics showed up. They worked on him. I'm in the car. One of my partners comes up to me and I says, is he dead? Oh, yeah. I says, good. Screw him. Right? Gangster pointing a gun at me. Should have knew the hazard when he signed on. And I said, what's Sessy from? What do you mean? I said, what tats he got? What's Sessy from? He was a stolen gangster. Oh, I didn't see any. He says, I didn't see any tattoos. I said, all right. So I don't pick, no big deal. The media started to show up. I'm in my supervisor's car because my car is locked in. It's part of the crime scene now. We can't move it. So I'm in the supervisor's car, and they come over and they drive me back to Hollywood Station. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. Been there about a half hour. So I go back to my office, and I got to wait for the shooting team to show up. Got to wait for the lawyer to show up. Got to wait for all the after action, all crap.
Right.
So all right. So they put me we had a cold room. We called it a cold room, where we had a cold phone. We had a phone where we could make calls and it didn't come back to the city. I used to order dope all the time. I'd call people up all the time to order dope out of that room. So I'm sitting in that room. I'm sitting on a table, actually, next to the phones with my feet on a chair. And I'm in there by myself. And about a half hour later, my boss, who was like my dad, he's the guy that just died in December, a guy named Dennis Zoyner. Dennis shows up, walk in with my lieutenant, Frank Valdez, another stand-up guy. They come in the room, and Dennis puts his arm around me and says, you're going to have to suck this one up. Why? What are you talking about?
What's that mean?
Guy was a policeman. I said, you're kidding. I says, from where? He says, one of ours. I'm going, holy cow. To back up a hair, Frank, the lieutenant, told me to call my wife. Well, before, when he put me in the room, call your wife. Tell her what's going on. So I call home. Actually, she was working. I call her. I says, I'm going to be late. What happened? This before I knew he was a cop. I said, nothing. I said, I'm good. I'm going to be late. When are you coming home? I don't know. Could be morning. I don't know. We're late. Going to work late. Something's wrong. What happened? Nothing. I'm telling you, everything's good. You got to tell me what happened. All right. I got in a shooting. The other guy lost. Are you okay? I'm fine. I says, I got to wait for the walkthrough, and the investigators are going to do a walkthrough. The RHCs show up. Shooting. It's going to take all night. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Okay. Because at that point, it was no big deal. I mean, yeah, I took a life, which was sad, but the guy pointed a gun at me, threatened to shoot me, and I responded. And the fact that I killed him and he didn't kill me, I'm thinking, good. At the time, I had a 3-year-old kid and a 1-year-old son, 2 boys, 3 and 1. Good. They would have never knew who I was. Never remember me at all. So then, half hour later, they commanded, you got to suck this up, that he was a policeman. Now I know the world's going to collapse. We had Rodney King, then we had OJ, and now we got me.
Yeah.
The world's going to explode. So,
Well, let me stop you right there. From the first time you encountered this guy until you're in the gas station parking lot, how many seconds went by? Because I know it wasn't very long.
the first contact at the subway, a block earlier, that was less than a minute. Bang, bang, bang. I'll cap you. We put a cap in your hand. Oh, yeah, shoot your mouth. Big deal. Was I afraid? No. Did I think he was going to shoot me? No. I just thought he was a gangster with an attitude. And again, I've never had, and I've got a bit of tact for this over the years, but I've never had a one-on-one conflict like that. I mean, I'm not a really big guy, but I'm 5'10", 250. I mean, I'm not crazy. And I've got a long hair and a big Fu Manchu mustache. And I'm wearing a marijuana baseball cap. I said, I've never had a one-on-one contact with somebody attack me like that. That's why I said, excuse me, because that's never happened before. So that was about less than a minute at that first intersection. And then we're talking traffic, maybe 4 or 5 miles an hour to get to the next intersection. And I'm stuck. He got stuck and he was there for probably 10 seconds before he could get a space and break traffic. And he's coming. So there's a story in this too, but I know for a fact how long I shot. I shot 2 seconds, or two shots in 1.8 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that because the gas station had a video that had audio. And there's a story in that too, because the gas station attendant didn't want to give it, said that the cameras didn't work. He sold the tape to Johnny Cochran.
Oh.
And there's a story that with Russ Poole went back the next day. But to get back to your follow-up story here, is when he pulled up alongside me, I reacted probably 2 or 3 seconds, maybe less. I came up, fired the first round, looked at the back, came back, fired the second round. That was 1.8 seconds. Then he drove 35 feet, did a U-turn, came back. That's probably another 20 seconds, maybe less than 20 seconds. He pulls back, pulls it into the gas station. I pull in behind him, and it took me probably 30 seconds to get out of the car, call 911, get out of the car, and approach the car. So I guess total from first contact to standing there next to the car, maybe 2 minutes.
How shocked were you to find out that was a police officer?
I'm still shocked. In 29 years, it still tears me up. But after 29 years of investigating and learning what was going on, he was more undercover than I was. I have information. I had information. One of my old partner, big gang guy, we had an informant, a bounty hunter informant. A bounty hunter is a blood gang member in L.A. Good informant, good dope dealer, good PCP manufacturer. He said he knew Gaines, and that Gaines was an Englewood family blood member. But nobody's ever brought that out. It's all been disappeared. Everything. Nobody's ever brought that out. They went after me.
Who's they?
Everybody. The department, the media, the activists went crazy. It's just crazy. The black cops, and the department split in half. Black cops didn't want to ride with white cops. A year later, ask the next question because I'm jumping ahead. What happens is I'll start babbling and start because I remember things that happen and not a sequence. So I'll go with your next question.
Well, actually, that's where we're going. What is it that the public and everybody else did not understand about the second decision that saved your life?
Well, I was immediately labeled a racist killer. That I still am in some circles. I'm still a racist killer. The word was immediately after that I was doing because he's been bragging for a long time. They said that he'd go up at Sharitha's house, Sharitha Knight, which is Suge Knight's wife, where he was living up on Mulholland. He'd go out it overlooks the valley. He'd go down the driveway and look up and go, look, hell, FBI is following me. Look, and he was making a claim for his lawsuit. He filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and he was making a claim for that. And I believe that's why, literally, that's why I won.
Who's making that claim?
Well, that's a different story.
Is that Suge Knight?
No, it's Suge Knight's wife.
Okay.
But she wasn't making the claim. Gaines was making the claim. Kevin Gaines, the guy that I shot.
Okay.
If you got to go back a year, August 16th, 1996, a radio came out in North Hollywood, 911 radio call. ADW in progress, which is assault with a deadly weapon in progress, shots fired, victim down by the pool at that address on Multiview Drive. There happened to be a black and white patrol officer on Mulholland at the time within 400 feet from that driveway. He backs up, drives in. He's at these iron gates. Code 6, show me code 6 at these iron gates. Call backup, call the PR back. We can't get in. It's a mansion overlooks the San Fernando Valley. We can't get in. So while they're waiting, another black and white shows up. Second black and white, you got 4 uniform officers. They're waiting for the PSR, the 911 dispatcher, to call back and get a number and get the gate open. The third car shows up as a Mercedes, a 92 Mercedes, 4-door Mercedes, with personalized license plates, ITS OKIA. It's okay, IA. It's okay, Internal Affairs. Male black jumps out, 5'10", 200 pounds, shaved head, 2 or 3 day growth, miserable. What's going on in this, my house? Well, we got a radio call of an ADW, shots fired, open the gate. You ain't going in, I hate you, nobody getting fights with the cops. Ironically, the third car that shows up, third black and white, because there's still no code 4. They haven't been in yet. Third black and white shows up, his LAPD Life on the Beat camera crew in the back seat. They get this all on film. And I know that because one of the producers was a retired D3 at Narcotics, a guy named Ray Marino, and he said they got that on film.
Mm-hmm.
That film was seized by LAPD, by Chief Parks, and then we've never seen it again. But it's got Gaines attacking the first officer, basically shoulder slams the first officer, anticipating a beatdown. He wants a Rodney King beatdown. They don't do it. There's 6 cops there. They grab him, hook him up, grapple him, put him in the ground, handcuff him. Now he's screaming, I'm a cop just like you. You ain't going to my property. I got expensive things in there. I know cops are steals. I hate cops. I hate sheriffs. Goes on for 10 minutes.
And he's a cop.
He's a cop. The cops, for whatever reason, don't open the gate. They don't go in. I went back to his car. I hooked his ass up, went back to his car, hit the clicker, and went in. We got an ADW call, shots fired, victim down by the pool. They don't go in. They call the watch commander. The lieutenant shows up, and this really fries me. But this is not written anywhere. This is from officers that were there. Lieutenant shows up, and he's screaming, and he hates cops. He's got expensive things in that house, and cops are thieves, and he don't want them in that property. The lieutenant literally went to the 6 officers there and asked them to empty their pockets before they went in the property to check for this ADW suspect, of which there was no ADW suspect. No crime, no nothing. They take him to North Hollywood Station and call a DRE supervisor. DRE is drug recognition expert, of which I was one. I was an instructor for 20 years on it. They call a DRE instructor, supervisor, to come in and to do a DRE on this guy. They think he's got to be high, got to be influenced. He wasn't. Turns out he filed a multi-million-dollar claim against the city for harassment, discrimination, and battery, whatever. Hired Milton Grimes. Milton Grimes was Rodney King's lawyer. Filed a multi-million-dollar claim. This is August 16th, 1996. September 5th, 1996, the time book at Pacific Station, he was assigned to the desk. He should have had his gun and badge taken away and assigned home. pending termination. He was assigned to the desk at Pacific Station. September 5th, 1996, he shows special assignment. He was in Las Vegas with Suge Knight and Tupac for the Tyson fight. I didn't know this. I knew he was there, but I didn't know this until a few years back. I accidentally found an FBI report where they surveillance, and they saw Gaines was there with the captain of Pacific and a guy named Earl Pasinger, who was a lieutenant in Dare at the time. Earl Pasinger ended up being Chief Park's assistant chief. He was the second in command of LAPD before he retired. And a big story behind Earl Pasinger, remember the OJ case?
Mm-hmm.
The big pursuit? AC's had a call 911. This is AC. I got OJ going to shoot himself. The gun OJ was going to shoot himself with was a Smith & Wesson 38 revolver issued to Earl Pasinger from the academy.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, you got to back that up to that fairy tale. The reason I survived that shooting was, again, not because I'm any better than anybody. I am not bad. I don't get nervous. I'm controlled. Like I have super good memory. I am good, but I'm not that good, because he pulled up alongside of me and leaned over and 9 feet away. I'll cap you, pointing his brother, this 9mm at me. And I had no place to go. If he opened fire, I was done. I truly believe, we'll never know this for sure, but I truly believe the reason I survived is because his intent was not to shoot me. His intent was for me, because he knew who I was. I know that today. I didn't know that then, but I know that today. He knew who I was. But his intent was not to shoot me. His intent was for me to follow him home, call Black and Whites, and chase him back up half a mile up to her mansion where he was living, and attack him in the mansion, which was facilitate his multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Wow.
That's why I survived. I mean, we'll never know because he's dead. But like I said, I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Right. And for those that don't know, Suge Knight is one of the founders of Death Row Records. I'm not going to waste any time talking about him. You can look him up on Google if you want to learn more about him. He's in prison right now. If that tells anything. So, given what happened in that particular incident of the shooting, and you've had all these years, I mean, there's more things we're going to talk about, everybody, but is there anything that you would have done differently?
No. In fact, my lieutenant, Frank Valdez, like I said, I was stressed out like you wouldn't believe. And Frank said the exact same thing to me. He goes, "Would you change anything?" I says, "No." "You wouldn't change nothing?" I says, "No." I says, I tried to drive away from him. I flim-flammed to pull him to the curb. I drove away. I got stuck at the next light. He broke traffic and got me. There's nothing I could do. Point the gun at me. He goes, "Then suck it up. You didn't do anything wrong. Get over it." You know, I kind of did that because my career lasted another 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got over it.
At what point did it really hit you? I think I know the answer to this, but when did it really hit you that, well, this is really going to turn into a big deal?
At about 7 o'clock, when Frank and Dennis told me he was a cop.
Yeah.
Then I had to call my wife, call her back, and say, "We got a problem." I said, "The guy was a cop." Again, like I said, we had Rodney King, OJ, now me. And it did. The world hit the very next day, the front page of the LA Times, front page of the Daily News, "Cop kills cop." I got an aunt and uncle who live in the Netherlands. It was on their front page of their news.
Wow.
Media trucks everywhere.
So you've explained this to a little bit where your bosses come in. You said they're both stand-up guys.
Oh, they're the best guys in the world. If Zoyner told me to get up on a roof and jump off, guess where I'm going?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's rare that, well, no, I'm not going to say it's rare. It's nice to have supervisors like that you respect like that.
Usually a supervisor, if you got a good supervisor, they're 2 steps behind you, right?
Yep.
These guys were in front of me.
There you go. That's when them lead from the front. But did internal affairs come immediately?
Oh,
and what was their response?
Well, I'm giving this class this afternoon about it, and that's part of the class, command dealing with command. What happened, the first thing is, after they told me who he was and everybody showed up, I had to go back to the scene for a walkthrough with robbery homicide and the shooting team.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in there, Deputy Chief John White is standing there, shakes my hand. "Yes, sir. Did a good job. We knew all about this guy. He was an asshole. Surprised somebody didn't kill him sooner." "Oh, good. Okay."
Really?
Shakes my hand. Oh, okay. Sounds good. If you have any problems, any problems at all, call me anytime, day or night. Gives me a phone number. I'm thinking, wow, this is great. A few minutes later, here comes this tall, thin white guy where I'll never forget him, boy. I'll tell you, Greg Berg, commander of Narcotics. I'd never met him before, never even seen him before. Wearing a blue blazer, gray pants, a light blue shirt, a dark blue tie. He comes walking up and he's tall and skinny. And he got his arm out. He shakes my hand. I understand it was radio communications throughout this. Yeah, good job. Did a good job. Okay. We do the walkthrough. Then I go to North Hollywood and I get interviewed by Russ Poole and Fred Miller. They're the robbery homicide detectives, their specialized unit. I go home. The next day I'm off, obviously, and forced off the next day. That was Wednesday. I'm off. Nothing going on. Thursday, I had an appointment with a psychiatrist because anytime you're in a critical incident, you have to see a psychiatrist, be cleared to go back to work.
Right.
So I go back to see her. She clears me, no restrictions. I go back to work Friday morning. Even though all the racial crap's going on, I go back to work Friday morning. I'm out putting crooks in jail. I already arrested 2 or 3 crooks. 3:30, I get a phone call or a radio call from my secretary saying, "The lieutenant wants you in the office right now." Okay. So I go back to the office. Commander Berg is there. "I'm taking you out of the field. I don't want you're not to have any contact with the public whatsoever, 100%. I go, "Why? You have a bad package." I said, "I got a what?" "You've got a bad package." I said, "What are we talking about? You have 40 uses of force." I had 11 years on the job. And I put a lot of people in jail. A lot of gangsters that don't want to go to jail for drugs. That's what I did. And if you break it down, I broke it down. I have 36 uses of force, not 40. I have 36. I use force on 15 male blacks, 12 male whites, 5 male Hispanics, 3 female blacks, and 2 others. And I don't know what the others are. I don't know what
Dogs.
I don't know what they are. No dogs. I'm an animal guy. I don't do animals, but 2 others. Pepper spray, wrist lock, twist lock, kicks, punches. I never hit anybody with a baton. I've never even seen anybody get tased. And I was in one prior shooting in 94. I had the same package when I made detective. And I explained off. So you have a bad package. So being told by John White, the deputy chief, commander's telling me to kick me out of the field. The deputy chief gave me his phone number 2 days ago and said, call him if I had any problems. I call the number. I get a lieutenant. He's out. Have him call me when he gets back. John White calls me later that night. I thought I made myself clear through the chain of command. What are you talking about? You have a bad package. You're out of the field. And there's nothing I could do. So they were going to sign me home, right? They were taking my gun and badge. They're just going to make me work from home, assign me home. And I was crazy. Valdez, Frank, the lieutenant, went to the captain and commander both, and convinced them to let me stay in the office. And basically I was the house mouse. I ran plates, I ran rap sheets, I did files, I put cases together, I worked old cases. I couldn't have public contact, but I come to work every day, which was nice of them because I probably would have killed myself if I was sitting home by then. So that went on from March to June. Everything I said is being proven. Everything I said is coming out true. Nobody believed it. Nobody wanted to believe it, but everything I said was true. And they really couldn't do anything with me. So the captain, a guy named Ron Seaman, good guy, he and Parks were friends. He had something on Parks. So the captain told my supervisor, he says, either fire him or get him back to work. He's a good detective. He does good work. Either find something on him or let him go back to work. So they decided they're going to let me go back to work. I could either go to a major surveillance team, which is major violators, just a surveillance team, or I could go to the clandestine laboratory team from majors. I was recruited 3 times to go to the clan lab team. Basically, they do major cases. They clean up drug labs, methamphetamine, PCP, GHB, MDMA, all the drug labs. So I said, well, if I got to go, I just let them go there. Out of sight, no public contact. he let him go work surveillance where they just follow people around. No serious contact. So in June 97, I go to the lab team. I get a take-home car, plain clothes again. I'm still working, doing exactly what I do. I get a take-home car. I get a cell phone. I get a laptop. I get a gas card. Life's good, right? The first case I did back if you go back to 97, September of 97, Pete Wilson was the governor. Pete Wilson signed into law making gamma hydroxybutyrate, GHB, the date rape drug, illegal. And it went into law the day he signed it. There wasn't a grace period. It wasn't until June, January. He signed it September 27th. September 27th, it went into law. The first week in October, I did 4 gallons of GHB. I did the first case of GHB in the state of California. I found the chemical company, got the precursor, took it to a warehouse in downtown LA, watched it, got a guy going to the Olympic Auditorium to a rave with 2 gallons, went back in, served a warrant on this. It was a big case. First case of GHB in the state of California.
That's low key.
Yeah. And I'm supposed to be low key, no public contact. So I don't know how that went over, but everything went well.
Yeah.
And I was in a lab squad and we were doing good cases. And the thing was pushing through and we're getting ready the March 22nd. I killed him on March 18th. March 22nd, his ex-wife hired Johnny Cochran to file it, and Johnny Cochran filed a $25 million lawsuit against me in the city. And Carl Douglas was supposed to be Johnny Cochran's second, but this was going to be Carl's breakout case for police litigation, making him a superstar. Because a white guy kills a black guy, the white guy is bad.
Right.
And that's what they played. And it went through, and it was a year and a half.
All right. Before we go any further, we've been going about an hour now. So everybody, Frank here has agreed to come back tomorrow and tell us the rest of the story because there's a lot more to what we're going to talk about here. The purpose of having this interview today is to show you that things are not always peaches and cream within law enforcement agencies. You hear me talk regularly on the show about the law enforcement culture, the brotherhood and the sisterhood, but it's not always perfect. Appreciate you guys coming to join us today. I appreciate your support. Thank you for continuing to support Game of Crimes. Couldn't do any of this without you. Come back, join us tomorrow. In the meantime, be safe. We'll see you then.
Take care, folks.